Welcome to Ren Behind the Practice. I'm Sophie Campisi, a holistic business builder and startup expert. Every week, I sit down with practitioners, coaches, and healers to explore what's really happening behind the scenes of building a mission-driven business. Over the years, I noticed something I couldn't unsee. Many incredibly talented practitioners and coaches aren't struggling because they lack passion, skill, or dedication. They're struggling because they're investing enormous amounts of time, money, and energy into building their businesses, yet the results often don't match the effort. I've come to realize that disconnect isn't random. Most practitioners and coaches are incredibly skilled at the work they do with their clients, but very few of us were ever taught or trained in how to translate our skills into a clear and solid business model. So we piece things together, follow advice, invest in courses, work incredibly hard, and often find ourselves wondering why things still aren't clicking. This podcast exists to slow those conversations down. Together, we explore the dreams, the uncertainty, the pivots, the breakthroughs, and the blind spots that shape the journey of building a practice. My hope is that these conversations also help you recognize what's happening in your own business so you can stop guessing, start seeing things more clearly, and finally build a business that's as impactful as the work that you do. Today's guest is Amanda Stanton. Amanda is a hypnotherapist who incorporates birth charts and nervous system regulation into a cohesive program to help people figure out what they actually want and build the life of their dreams. Amanda, it is so great to have you here. Thank you for showing up and having this conversation with me today.
Thank you so much for hosting this, Sophie.
Before we look behind the scenes, can you share with us a little bit more about the work that you do?
Yeah, the work that I do is based on basically my whole life experience. I have learned how to figure out exactly what it is that I want, how to regulate my nervous system to feel safe in holding it, and how to use my birth chart information to help me structure a life that actually fits with what I want and what I'm building. And I'm passionate about helping other people find the right key to the life that they want, because I think everybody deserves to live a life that makes them feel fully alive.
When it comes to so we have like the informal lead up to doing, air quotes, the work, like all of us, like we all start generally just doing it for ourselves. And at some point, there's a point where we like answer the call to be of service to others, which simultaneously pushes us into entrepreneurship. We don't always realize that's actually what's happening when it's like, oh, I know I'm supposed to be helping others. Okay. Yes. Yes, I'm saying yes to that. Oops. Like, oh no, entrepreneurship. When in your path, in your journey, did that kind of formally start? Like the formal journey of entrepreneurship, working toward a practice, building a practice, focusing on it more formally?
Yeah, I definitely did not intend or start out planning to be an entrepreneur. I realized in high school that I had a passion for psychology and self-development. I majored in psychology in college. I got my bachelor's and had plans to get a master's so I could become a licensed counselor and work as a therapist. The journey in life didn't allow that to play out as planned. Before I could go get my master's, I had a baby. Then we moved a couple hours from home. A year after that, we separated and had a divorce. So now I found myself single, trying to figure out how to support myself. Getting a master's did not fit into that in any way whatsoever. So for a little while, I gave up on my career in psychology and helping people, even though I knew that was what I wanted to do. In 2020, I found hypnotherapy. It's on the outskirts of the industry, counseling and therapy and psychology, gaining a lot of traction and really promising studies on it. That was very exciting for me. So I hopped on the train and took 4 years to become certified because I was also working full-time and trying to support myself. Through that time, I moved twice. I met my partner, my current partner. We moved in together and bought a house that we decided to renovate. And in that time, he decided that he would be willing to take on the bills and support me so that I can actually do the dang thing because I had this passion to really help people. And this was the way that I could see a viable path towards that. So I am very thankful and grateful for his ongoing support, because there would be evenings I would come home from work crying because I was so tired and I didn't want to be doing this job anymore. I just wanted to help people make their lives better and feel better in themselves. So in spring of 2024, I was officially certified. And then I began the journey of skill swapping and giving away free hypnosis sessions and just getting my feet wet with all of that. And within the last 6 months is when I have really begun to see results of that. I really feel like I was floundering there for a while because I realized I didn't know how to build a business. I'd always worked for other people. And so now I'm trying to take other people's business advice because I was raised to believe that you can learn from other people's mistakes and avoid them yourself, which I do think is true and has value. But I have come to realize that when it comes to your own business, you kind of have to make your own mistakes and figure it out, because one person's path to 100K is not going to be your path to whatever goal you have.
Yeah, so many things. But yes, that's definitely one of the biggest breakdowns. Part of my role on this podcast is to be a pattern recognizer. I talk to literally dozens of practitioners and people every single week. And that's certainly one of the biggest patterns that comes up, is the breakdown around, well, you heard me say it in the intro, like that's the fundamental breakdown, is we're devoted to the work that we do. And very few, if any of us, and I might come closest to someone that might have had the skill. I have a business master's and I went to law school. Like maybe on paper that seems like, oh, she would have the skill to build a business. No, entrepreneurship is its own ball game. It's apples to oranges to any other type of business really that you're familiar with. Then on top of it, the types of businesses that we're building are really unique and have a lot more in common with a tech startup founder than they have with a yoga studio. And people don't realize the nuances and the differences and why we have this extra step that we have to go through at the beginning to lay the foundation. So many things that make us amazing at the work that we do with our clients actually make business building harder. People aren't talking about that. Things like what it is to be a visionary and how then when it comes to building, it's a backwards process, basically. Like, how do we translate what we see backwards down to the starting point? Integrity. If you have very high integrity, interestingly, a lot of the business advice out there doesn't really work as well. Again, like just a lot of these things that make us a unique group of people, uniquely suited to really bring real change, like really support and bring real change. But when it comes to business building, can actually make business building harder. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. It feels like being a spiritual entrepreneur is different than an entrepreneur of like a brick and mortar business or somebody who provides goods in exchange for the money, because the spiritual entrepreneur industry, we work in something that's intangible. And so it's just a different animal altogether.
Absolutely. That's absolutely one of the biggest difference makers. There are pros and cons to being a service provider, running a business that's my bread and butter, like my area of expertise is with people who are running mostly virtual businesses. But absolutely, there are pros and cons to it. And one of the things that also is layered into that, where, my area of expertise is startups, like true startup entrepreneurship. People treat us usually like we're small business owners. There's a huge difference between startup entrepreneurship and small business owners, not better or worse. It's just like golf versus soccer. So people are often giving us skills as if we're small business owners, which is like bringing golf gear to a soccer match and trying to produce a result on the field, or vice versa. Like they just don't translate. There's not, again, a better or worse. It's just like it's two different playing fields. And it's one of the biggest misconceptions, and it's part of the biggest breakdown in the business advice people are giving us. They're treating us, again, like we should just be able to start growing, that like we're a yoga studio where, okay, we should just be able to start applying all these growth tactics and our business will start working. It's not true, because what they're missing is that we don't fit into clear boxes. Usually those of us that fall into, you just keep saying like this pocket of the world that I end up talking to don't fall into a clear box. And the business building side is very difficult and much harder. Well, that's part of why it is that we don't fit into a clear box. Okay, yoga 50 years ago was very hard, right? Yoga now isn't, because the masses have caught up to it. They're very clear. I need yoga. I want yoga studio near me. There's product market fit. People know that they want and need yoga. Well, what we all have going for us is that we're visionaries, we're way showers, we're a little bit ahead of the curve. On the business building side, that's not always great, because we need to be able to find and connect with that real market demand. People need to be able to find us. We need to be able to find them. This is just one of those things. Again, I was never taught it until I went out and fought tooth and nail to figure out, why can't I get my business to work? Like, why am I investing so much money into my business and it's not working? And this is one of those things is, it's amazing to do something that's ahead of the curve. It's amazing to find alignment. It's amazing to find our North Star. It's amazing to find our passion for helping others. But that doesn't automatically translate into a solid business model.
Yeah.
That's just what people aren't talking about almost at all, but certainly not nearly enough.
Yeah. I was laughing at myself the other day because I remember back when I was about to finish my certification, I really had this fantasy in my head that I was going to be, okay, I just post online, I'm certified now, and people would be coming in left and right. Oh, I want your services. And I went through this deep, like, grieving process for that fantasy dying in front of me, because that's not how it works. And I really believe that spiritual entrepreneurship is its own spiritual evolution in itself. Like, all of your shadows and fears and traumas, they have to come out, and you have to look at them and address them in order for things to actually shift in your business.
I just want to say you're not alone also in the thinking that I'll just start posting and then like my business will start growing. You are not alone. I did it. Literally everyone does it. But I also want to shine light on, or, pause and also acknowledge the fact that many of us are getting certified without ever being taught anything about what's going to happen on the other side. That's a whole different thing. That it's not to say that the certifiers are responsible for that necessarily. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, they're throwing us out to the wolves. They're doing what they're good at. But I do think that one of the things that I'm really passionate about putting language to and putting a voice to and bringing the conversation forward from the shadows is collectively, community-wide, industry-wide, we just need to raise the bar, because the stakes are really high and the cost of our businesses not working is very high. Not just for ourselves, but also for the people that we are here in this lifetime to serve and support and to help guide them through their own stuff. Like, we'll look at the suicide rates, the addiction rates, the mass violence rates. Like, we are in a collective dark night of the soul. So our businesses not working, there's a huge cost to that. So it's not to say anyone who's a certifier is wrong or bad, but also like this is a huge pattern that comes up over and over and over again, where people are like, I talked to someone after, I can tell you her episode, but she was like, I invested, I think she said like $100,000 into a degree, and they didn't once say anything about business building. And she has taken more of the psychology route. But this is something that comes up over and over again. So I just want to say, like, you're not alone. There's definitely like a missing piece there, and there's like a gap there, just a way that we could improve. How could I end up when I talk to someone that's new, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're in a great place. Because I often talk to people that are 10 years and 15 years in, like I
Mm,
was, and are still not closer
hmm
actually on the business side. And it's again, it's not that anyone's wrong or bad. Everyone's doing the best they can. But when I look at it, I'm like, we need your business. We need this to work because the people who need you need you. So like we
Yeah.
need to figure this out on so many levels, but can we do a better job at figuring it out sooner? Because the more time we take, it's not just time, but it's also like the money invested, the time, money, resources, and energy. I'm really passionate about talking about like what are we investing in and we're not getting back. And at what point do we say, wait a second, this something seems
hmm
off. Like that seems like I'm putting too much in and I'm not getting enough out and all of that. So
hmm
you're certainly not alone in that. But I appreciate you putting language to it because I absolutely know what you're talking about. I mean, a lot of people, they're posting into a void, they're posting to crickets, and it's like, wait a second. It can be like a total mind F. It's like, oh my God, I feel invincible.
Yeah, absolutely. I tried multiple different lead generation tactics. I invested in business programs, spiritual business programs. I owe my parents like $10,000 for these programs. And yeah, I've just come to the conclusion like that's their process. And I think it does work for some people because we all share similarities. But one person's process cannot be the one that works for everybody. If there's a process that works for everyone, then it probably doesn't work.
Totally. Yes and no. I think part of what I learned going through it is most people are teaching what worked for them. And
Mhm.
the only people it's going to work for is a small group of people that just happen to like their people it fits.
Yeah.
What I went searching for was someone to help guide me through the process so it didn't feel so. I constantly felt I got my burnout came from so many of us are so devoted to the work that we just like we keep fighting. We keep finding a way to find money. We keep
Yeah.
finding a way to justify keep going. I mean, I did it for so many years. My burnout actually came, or my stopping point, or the point where I was like, no more of this actually came from when I was like, I'm exhausted from making decisions that I don't know if this is the right decision to make. It's like that fatigue of like, I will do it. I will do the work. I will invest the money. I will do all of the things. But I'm tired of not knowing like what is the thing. And so, what
Mhm.
I do now, but what I went searching for, I didn't know exactly what at the time is there is a predictable process for navigating startup entrepreneurship. Like there is a predictable process for what it is, but there is no one size fits all business model. And
Mm.
that's part of the biggest breakdown is people are generally selling a one size fits all. You need this ticket offer, you need a high ticket offer, you need to do it like this because that's what they did or that's what they know and they're trying to teach and it's falling flat.
Yeah.
But what is possible is for people to understand how to go through the process, predictable process for creating the perfect business model for them and understanding
Yeah.
how to do that because exactly what you're saying. There is no one size fits all business model. Your business model, there is no one size fits all price point. Like even when I see people like selling like, oh, perfect price, it's like there is no. And when people are like, oh, you're not getting there because you're selling yourself short and you need to raise your prices. How would they know if they have no
Mm.
idea who your clients are, right? Because there
Mhm.
is no perfect price.
Yeah.
Because every single thing is going to be dependent on and how I show people how to build is your people are at the center of every single thing that you do. Everything. So if
Mhm.
your clients, your pocket of the world, your zone of genius, it's like what I teach people instead of niche, instead of these things that fall flat, it's like your zone of impact, your zone of genius will have your people will be part of that. If it's third grade teachers, right? Your price point is going to look very different in your business model than if it's CEOs. And it's not better or worse. One is going to need a different price than the other, and it's probably going to be a completely different business model. But the process for
Mhm.
getting there and finding that and under how to nail it is the same. But there's absolutely no one size fits all business model, but people are selling that and it's very confusing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The most confused I've ever been in my life is when I listened to every ad that came across my Instagram feed, thinking that the truth is somewhere outside of me.
Yeah, tell me more about that. Like what the noise and like what that has been like for you or the confusion.
Yeah. I went through a gradual process. I thought, okay, I can figure this out on my own. I'll just sign up for the free things, right? Like the little free workshop or something like that. And then I'll just figure it out myself. Like I'm pretty smart. I can do that. And I began to realize how little information is usually in those free workshops, which, like, no hate to those people. I understand you need to get paid for value. I totally get that. It just felt misleading in what I thought I was going to get and learn from the lead magnets that I signed up for. And I didn't have the cash money to invest in a coach for myself or sign up for a program or anything like that. So I just started listening to every free tidbit that came across my feed and trying to implement it. And gradually just came to realize, okay, well, I don't want my business to feel like this. So I don't listen to those people. I don't want my business to come across like this. So I'm not going to listen to those people. And the group of people I would listen to gradually got smaller and smaller and smaller until it got to a point where I had borrowed $10,000 from my parents to sign up for these two very different programs. There is value in them, but they were not the end all answers that I really believed they would be. And so I just had to it's like a come to Jesus moment. The answers are not going to be outside of me. And I had to come to terms with that and realize that I should trust myself more than I have been taught by other people to trust myself. And if it's not right, I will learn that and I'll be able to trust myself even more.
When you look ahead to the next 6 to 12 months, what would you really love to see happen in your business?
The next 6 to 12 months, I am working towards consistent 10K months. I want to sign on 20 to 30 new clients and use that as a bridge to start building group programs. I'm very passionate about the one-on-ones. I love those. I'll probably always keep those. But I have also seen the impact that can come through group programs and the transformation that can be facilitated in those. And I would also love to start looking at retreats, putting retreats together for some like very insulated bubbles of transformational experiences. Because we need more community with the way the world is right now. We need face-to-face time and authentic, genuine caring for each other. And I feel very strongly that that is something that we need as a worldwide community.
What have you already been focusing on or trying to make those things a reality? And you've already mentioned some, but getting to 10K months, getting to the point where you have steady client flow to sustain so that then you can continue to add on and build your practice to be more dynamic in the way that you feel is possible or that future goal of it. What have you already tried to make that a reality?
I have tried several iterations of different offers and niches. Looking back at the history of the niches I have attempted, it's like a mirror reflection of my life, basically. I started out with wanting to help divorced women because I went through a divorce. Women who went through heartbreak could be another niche. Women struggling with PMDD, because that's something that I've been working through the last several years. People who struggle with holding themselves accountable, people who want to shift their identity. And it all has just come to where I'm at now, where I help people who just feel stuck and are tired of trying other people's special processes to feel stuck, because I believe we all have our own process to get unstuck. And I feel I have discovered mine, and I want to help other people discover theirs and empower them to be able to move them through in life. So I've tried all kinds of things.
What do you think it's going to take for you to get there, specifically on the business side, to get to those 10K months, get to those 20 to 30 consistent clients?
I think part of it is me maintaining my own spiritual energy and integrity, continuing to do something I feel passionate about and I'm excited to talk about, I think is the number one priority. And taking care of myself in the background when I'm not on client calls is a huge aspect for me personally and how I operate. And then another part is going to be getting over my dislike of math and numbers and the strategy of the business, planning out the budget and looking at those little details that are so easy to forget about until you have to look at them right now.
Yeah, I totally get that. Is there any specific part of that that feels like heavier, like heaviest about the business side?
One of the programs I have does a really good job of breaking it all down into a step by step. Like, here's the numbers you need to hone in on, and here's how to build your plan for this quarter or whatever. I just have to take the time to sit down and actually do the program, go through that little mini course and actually implement it. So it is planning on my part and sticking to the plan.
When you look at everything you've done and everything you've tried up to this point, does it feel like the results have matched the effort that you've put in?
Honestly, I'm going to say yes, because when I was figuring out what I wanted to do, what I wanted my offer to look like, and what niche I wanted to be in, I wasn't super excited. And when I'm not excited about something, I don't put in the effort. And that's how I work personally. And that's what I have finally figured out is I have to do something that I am genuinely excited about, because that's where my motivation comes from. And so I have to not feel shame about that and just lean in. But looking back over the last 2 years, yeah, I wasn't putting in the effort. And so there were no results.
Tell me more about looking ahead to entering maybe this new chapter, this new phase, this new action steps or plan to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. And so, really digging in and building up the vision for the future, regulating my nervous system to be able to hold that and build capacity, and just sheer gratitude for this work that I feel like found me, to be honest. I mean, I got an email from a client saying just one conversation really shifted her perspective. And I'm like crying, looking at my phone, reading the email. And that's real. And it's not just something that can be tied up with a pretty little bow in a business model. And so recognizing it's like my business is my partner. It's its own entity that I have to respect and get to know and understand along with myself. I don't know if that answers your question at all.
Yeah, no, I have no expectation for it. Yeah, no, it's really helpful context to see where you are and hear about your behind the scenes. Last question I'm going to ask today. If you could wave a magic wand and have one piece of building your business suddenly become crystal clear, what would that be? What would make the biggest difference for you?
I think whether it's ads or word of mouth, consistent lead generation feels like something that I kind of struggle with the most, which I'm sure is no surprise to you. Because, I mean, if I can talk to someone about it and they're aligned with it, then it's an easy yes. It's just getting that connection and them finding me or me finding them or whatever it is. Because the social media algorithm feels like a jungle. And sometimes I can see through it. And most of the time I'm like, I don't know.
You're right. No, that doesn't surprise me because it's the number one answer that I get
Mm-hmm.
to the magic wand question when I ask people.
Yeah.
And yeah, it goes back to, you and I had the opportunity to chat before we started, but it goes back to one of these fundamental breakdowns for all of us in our industry when it comes to building businesses, which is how do we effectively translate our skills, our gifts, our brilliance back to, right? Bridge it back to, find the bridge, build the bridge to the people that we are uniquely here to serve.
Mm-hmm.
How do we find them? How do they find us? That's actually typically the fundamental breakdown that's going on. And so, the fact that you're able to see that and aware of that doesn't make it less frustrating. But something else that you said about social media, when it comes to business building for all businesses, I'm just going to go out and say, but especially ours, trust is the most important thing. It doesn't replace, the business model and all the things that also we need, but trust is so important. It is vital to everything. And social media is one of the least effective ways to build trust. Like it just is part of why it doesn't work. It's really, really, really hard and really difficult to build trust with someone when you're in this social media. You mentioned the algorithms. You have no idea who's going to see it.
Yeah.
First of all, you have no idea who's going to see it. Second of all, it's like a one-way thing. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a flash. It's like a split second. You have no control of it. You don't know who's going to see it. It's one-sided. It's going to be like in a silo. Like think of all the things that make up the social media landscape, and then think about what actually you need to be doing is building trust. It's like, why does everyone keep telling us we need to be posting more on social media, right? Like the math definitely doesn't math on that. So yeah. I mean, everything that you're saying, it's certainly the number one problem that people are having, but also it's one of the biggest areas where I like to kind of put language to and like call out at what point do we say what we've been trying isn't working, or like, hey, like this isn't effective. This isn't actually bringing me closer to my goals. I want to talk to people. I want to be with people. I want to be deep in my mission and deep in my integrity. And I want to be connecting with people and building real relationships and building real trust. But most of what's out there isn't bringing us closer to that. But again, that goes back to my hypothesis for why I started doing what I do, which is if the business advice out there was going to work for us, it would already have worked
Yes.
because we have high quality work. We have high standards for quality. We have deep integrity. We are very good at what we do. We are never questioning whether or not our work can help people. Like all of the things that we have that we never question. And we're investing the money. I invested tens of thousands that I didn't have to invest into. Like we're doing the things. We're actually more consistent than we're giving ourselves credit for. We're actually showing up stronger than we're giving ourselves credit for, but we're just really hard on ourselves. And so that is, again, one of those things that I'm like, if what was out there was going to work for us, it would have already worked. But generally, we tend to be so good at being hard on ourselves that we tend to think like, oh, again, like it must just be me and I'm not doing good enough. And I'm not. But yeah, that's kind of my whole hypothesis even before. And I shared with you a bit about my journey. I didn't set out I'm going to go help people build their businesses. I'm going to become a startup expert because that's what I want to do professionally. No, like I was a coach, healer, practitioner myself for a decade. That's the work that I love. And that's what got me started on all of this. And I couldn't unsee the fact that our industry is floundering in business. And if anyone's businesses right now need to be working, it's these ones.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Anything else that you want to add before we wrap up today?
I would like to echo what you mentioned a moment ago. We are our own harshest critics, always. And so talking to other people who are spiritual entrepreneurs has been immensely helpful for me because they can see the things that you're doing better than you can yourself. And then just putting myself in environments with other supportive entrepreneurs who are going through the same thing has been such a shift in perspective because you realized you're not alone and there are people who want to help you and see you thrive. And you just feel good about yourself when you're investing in other people and they're investing in you.
Thank you. Thank you. Amanda, thank you so much for joining me today to have this conversation. And for those of you who are listening, if any part of this resonated, you're in the right place, please reach out. I want to hear from you. And if you want to reach Amanda directly, the links to her website and Instagram are in the show notes. Thank you again, Amanda. And to everyone else, thank you for listening. And we'll see you for the next episode of Ren Behind the Practice.